Hello everyone, this is Colin on the ASCA League channel, and the ASCA League is back, this time again with the Pennzoil Pro Series, and we are here for final practice at the high banks of Daytona, at Daytona Beach, Florida. And it's a great day to get some practice in. We had first practice earlier this morning, and 48 drivers took to the track. All 48 drivers entered here today, got a lap in. And we got to see a lot of quick times in the first 15 minutes. And now we are in our second 15-minute period, final practice here, as drivers all coming out from their pits to get some final adjustments in wake of first practice and to try to get their cars tuned up in time for the duels. And we'll see how the duels go here today, as a couple drivers already making their way out onto the track. And one of the eager ones is Cesar Chavez in that Verizon Ford. Chavez looking to improve here this season with a brand new team, taking over where August Eberhard left off. And with a new sponsor like Verizon, the team has high hopes for this year. And Chavez looking pretty strong in the first practice session. Ford actually dominated, if you want to put it that way, as 5 of the top 10 cars were Fords. And after that, 8 of the first 15 were Fords. A lot of Fords up in the top part of the field, and they certainly showed a lot of promise here today, as so far they seem to be the manufacturer to beat out on the track. Obviously, they have already won the Bud Shootout with Daniel Voiles behind the wheel, but it's also proving to be the manufacturer that has the quickest cars here in Speed Weeks. But we can see if that changes here. A few more cars merging out into the group. Brian Boone on the team that is the defending champions, or no, excuse me, the defending champion is behind him. Once was defending champion, I should say. Michael Jones in Season 3 got the championship. Season 4's championship went to Jake Barker in the number 2 National Racing Chevrolet. And he's looking to repeat in that Toolcraft Federal Premium Chevrolet Camaro. And this group of 3 looks like they might try to do some pack racing here today. A lot of drivers decided to do either or, as we saw some drivers pull some single car runs, but as well as we saw a few drivers get in a group of 4 or 5 and try to run some laps like that. And as we have cracked into our 15 minutes, we see the top of the chart with the 17 on top, running a 46.876, which is extremely fast. In fact, our fastest lap of last practice was a 46.85, so it looks like we will probably beat that this time. And if we could get a good pack going here, we might be able to see some drivers go over that bar. And Giovanni Barraza in the 92 car, he'll be running the Copper and Amateur Series Duels tomorrow. And he will be doing double duty in the ASCA League, running both the Pennzoil Pro Series and Copper and Amateur Series races. And it's good to see Giovanni back in a Pennzoil Pro Series car. It's been a while, but he is definitely not a rookie in this type of racing. Dropped down to the Copper Amateur Series a few years due to funding issues, but has gotten some pretty good sponsor backing from Gree, and they will be with him a majority of the season. Catching up on a few other cars here. The 51 MyJack Chevrolet going by him on the outside line. And we have a pretty big pack here. Alexander Rowe in the 61, Chloe Baker in the 18. All these drivers up here looking to probably try to get some quick laps here, as they're going to be hauling some steam around here. And a lot of these drivers were worried maybe pushing it too much in final practice. A few drivers are not going to be able to come back out, or are choosing not to. One of the drivers not coming back out is August Eberhard. Had engine difficulties in practice, and that pretty much eliminates him from making another run out here in final practice. But as we see the cars go around, a few more other drivers are on the track. Brock McMahon in his 4th season, driving a very familiar car. He's been with the same team, manufacturer, sponsor, you name it. Pretty not changing very much in that 08 camp. And they are looking to try to improve this year. They've only been getting better each season they've ran, and this year might be a breakout year for this team. Trying a single car run right now, or maybe trying to lay up and try to let the pack catch them from behind. for McMahon. He expressed that he was pretty excited for Daytona. Speed weeks have always been good to the back markers. McMahon's looking to make it a good finishing result out of this to get the season off on a high note. And looking at the top of the board, the lead has changed hands. And once again, we see a Ford on top of the chart. And that's the 82 car here, the Speedco Ford of P2P Motorsports is John Gilbert. And John had a not what I would consider a successful season last year with Neidhoffen Racing. He was dropped from the ride. The announcement came well before the season was over, so obviously they were looking elsewhere. But Gilbert was picked up by P2P Motorsports. They saw some talent left in him, and right now he had a pretty good lap until he dropped pretty far down the field as everyone's getting out there in packs now, it looks like. And it'll definitely be some pack racing here for the second practice. But Gilbert's showing a lot of strength already in first practice. He had a top 10 run as well. And just behind him, you see Matthew Brown working well with him. The Ford camp is definitely one of the stronger camps, I would say, going into this year. Despite historical past being rather uneventful, no Ford champions yet, but Season 5 could be a change for that. And we'll see how it turns out as the year progresses. You see Derek Petrie in the 53 car, one of the oldest drivers in the series. And he's actually coming pretty close to the 59, almost side drafting or letting the 21 come down to pit road. And Matthew Brown will come down to the service of his team, maybe already done with his final practice run. Obviously, they are just trying to get some things ironed out before the duels. As the duels, it's pretty critical that if you are not locked into the duels, you better have a car that's ready to go up there and challenge for positions, because 6 drivers will not make the final race at the Daytona 500. And that's a very small amount compared to what we'll see in the Coppered Amateur Series duels coming up next. But it is definitely a cutoff line, and there are drivers that will be sent home, and none of these guys out here want to be them. Looking at Nicholas Samudio driving for the Old Spice Racing in his second tenure with the team. And he is one of the most improved after coming off of his journey in the 62 car. 3 years he spent with the team before ending up at Old Spice Racing, and it has been a great fit for him. And he has had a lot of success already in the Sylvania Toyota. Very loyal sponsor to Samudio, and they look to continue their partnership and only improve in Season 5. In front of him, Ryan Dunn, very well known for changing teams a lot, and it does not stop here in Season 5 as he has joined Overdrive Motorsports, taking over for Hergil Arvin Alonso as he has moved on to Smart Motorsports. A lot of the off-season hype was built around the silly season changes, and Ryan Dunn switching to Overdrive Motorsports has drawn a lot of people to conclude that maybe Overdrive might be the next team to break out. And the Dodge camp is a very strong one indeed. They're looking to have a strong year as well again here, try to reclaim their manufacturer's title championship. And the Ice Valley Dodge looking strong here today, trying to get into the top 10 on practice times. You see a few more drivers. Webster Zygarde voted one of the best drivers in the series without a championship. And I think a lot of people would not argue against that. And he is going for it again in his 5th year in the number 12 cars. Changed up his team a few times, but Big Motorsports has seemed to be his home recently. And he has definitely found his speed in that P&G Chevrolet. Aaron Lukes in the 38, that's a new team for him. Hoping that, just like Samudio, he finds some life and some speed in that car, as he was at National Racing last year. And he's reclaimed his old number 38, a number that he expressed he was very sad to lose after being at National Racing. But now with Brickman back on the car, that's also a very loyal sponsorship. They look to make some big things happen in 2019. In front of him, Allison Rhodes driving for Smart Motorsports. Another one of the hopefuls. One-time winner at Darlington in her rookie season. Definitely did not see the same success last year, but is looking to put on a show here this year in that new 52 Ford. Paying tribute to AJ Davidson, one of the old drivers that used to race in the Pennzoil Pro Series, driving his historic 52 car around the track. and that's a nice number to see. Here's the 45 car of John Cittadino. Futch's Motorsports, they're looking to try to rebound from a kind of a disastrous season last year. A lot of problems, and right now not finding the practice speeds they want in the first round, but looking to make some adjustments here today in the second practice in order to try to turn some things around, maybe get some quick laps in here with this group of cars. And of course, don't want to leave out Jay Durrell. And it's been a pretty big off-season swing for that Fitzwater Australia Racing team. And that car, the team hired Stuart Gratton to be the second car, and that is pretty historic because they've only one time they have had two drivers on the track in the Pennzoil Pro Series, and that was way back in Season 1 with Samantha Jones. And Samantha brought that car home with a top 25 finish, I believe. And it was that was the only other time that we've seen Fitzwater Australia Racing with two cars, and never since. But that will change in the two duels that we'll see here coming up. Michael Jones in the Key West Boats Dodge, looking to try to get back on top. He's a seasoned champion, and he's looking to get back in victory lane. And as we see some of the other drivers, Rick Witt in the 68 Wheelie Dodge, wheeling it around, no pun intended, and Giovanni Braz as well here in the 92. Both Giovanni and Rick Witt will both be taking part in the Coppin Amateur Series duels coming up next. They'll be doing double duty as well as a couple other drivers here in the field. I believe about 8 or 9 of the Pennzoil Pro Series drivers will be dipping down into the lower field. And that'll be interesting to see coming up as these guys are only getting the track warm for them. Here's the new team, Galloway Warham Motorsports, with the new number 23 FanDuel Toyota. And driving it is William Brock. Has found a new home after being released by Smart Motorsports. And the team looking to jumpstart something fresh. Maybe not come out winning every race there is, but definitely want to make improvements as the season goes on, and perhaps even open up to a two-car organization. And in front, we see the field back here again, organized and trying to run some single-file laps here. And as the clock winds down, one of the notables on top, Ryan Kendall in the 17, he'll also be doing double duty. And I don't believe we have seen Ryan Kendall yet. Kendall, not a stranger to the super speedway tracks, likes to run. There he is. He likes to run the Coppin Amateur Series race, as he will be one of the double duty drivers participating in it. And he has always seemed to run well here. A very prolific super speedway driver, to say the least. He enjoys it a lot. Looking to have a good season this year as well. Red Stallion Racing in the Coppin Amateur Series is always boosted by his presence, and the knowledge that he's able to give the team definitely seems to bring the whole team up, and it has arguably made them one of the most stellar teams that the Coppin Amateur Series has seen. Obviously they have backing from Red Viper Racing, but Kendall, one of the star drivers there, and he really does help out the team and gives the veteran insight that a bunch of the rookies trying to make their way to the Pennzoil Pro Series, like we've seen with Jack Porkins and Robert Harrison, trying to get them to the top, and most recently now with Eric Monaco. All the drivers have come through, and they have learned from Ryan Kendall in that 17 car, as he has helped them out on the way. But for Kendall, he'd like to make the chase a little bit less exciting, in a less exciting way that he did last year by winning at Darlington. Probably one of the highlight reel moments of last season. And looking strong, though, here this season, as there is no doubt he will be one of the drivers to look out for to win the championship. As long as Red Viper Racing can keep the momentum up all throughout the year and compete with the likes of teams like Big Motorsports and National Racing and Old Spice Racing, to name a few. And as you see, the field now running up on a bunch of cars here. One of the drivers behind, you see Nicholas Mudio again. A bunch of drivers here. You see one of Kendall's teammates there, Eric Monaco, making his rookie start in that 16 car, taking over for the retired Nikita Rizkov. And the yellow stripes on the back of some of these cars will be pretty scary when it comes to the duels. We haven't seen a wreck yet in Speed Weeks, but that could all change. It is Daytona after all, and it brings out the worst sometimes. And as practice comes to a close, and that is the 15 minutes up. And on top, Matthew Brown will be the quickest, once again asserting Mustang's dominance so far here at Daytona. And he has definitely had the best car. Matthew Brown was a top 5 driver. I believe he was 6th in the first round. And he will get top spot here in this round. They definitely have the tuning set up well for that car. And as the session winds to a close, they're still giving it all here. And as they come around to see the checkered flag, that will signal for them to come down pit road. The Pennzoil Pro Series drivers now will get to take a break, but the Cobb Amateur Series drivers are coming up next. 96 drivers here in the Cobb Amateur Series. 18 of them are locked into the 32-car field for the Fresh from Florida 250. And it will be interesting to see how they are able to tame this track. We have seen some big accidents in the past from just how much of a rookie field we get when we come to Daytona. A bunch of very green drivers. It'll be interesting to see how they handle it. But coming up next, though, is Duels 1 and 2 from the Cobb Amateur Series. This is the ASCA League, and we'll see you all then. But for the Pennzoil Pro Series, we're signing out. We'll see you for the Mapei Duels.